LinkedIn has single-handedly helped me grow my business without needing VC capital. In the past 10 months, I have over 1.1 million impressions on LinkedIn. I believe there are 5 things that helped me build a sustainable bootstrap business without taking any capital. If you're to implement these 5 strategies, you are going to be able to grow absolutely any B2B business on LinkedIn or any other platform. None of these strategies actually cost you any money. They don't require any type of funding, and they don't require you to have any specific skill set. They are so simple that when I tell you them, you're just going to look back and think, oh man, why didn't I think of this? But once you implement them, they're absolutely insanely powerful. They're also the same strategies other hyper-growth founders are actually using without talking about them. Here's number 1. You need to have a clear and well-defined ICP, or ideal customer profile. When somebody comes and says, you know, my product is for everybody that has a small business and that wants to sell online. What? Just repeat what you just said out loud and think about what you just said. Do you go to a specific store to buy a specific item because it's more valuable? Yes. Have you thought about the stores that sell everything? They're pretty cheap, right? When you go to a specific store that only sells and caters to a specific type of audience, only for a specific type of product, they end up having a brand that is a lot more valuable than if you just went to Walmart. There's nothing wrong with Walmart. You could be the Walmart, but let's not kid yourself. You're not going to get that volume out of thin air. So you're going to have to start somewhere. So you need a clear and well-defined ideal customer profile. And I think there's a lot of videos on the internet on how to create ideal customer profile. TK Cotter has probably been, one of the most profound impacts on me when I think about ideal customer profile. So you should go watch his videos on creating an ICP. But the idea is still the same. Have a specific ideal customer profile who you will sell to. I think of it as a hypothesis. In our case, the hypotheses that I had come up with for Master Inbox were founders, and then founders of B2B companies, which were SaaS companies, which were not big enough. So they were under Series A. They had just maybe not even raised their seed at that time. This was a hypothesis that I had. And then I said, and they do outbound. So that was the initial hypothesis for Master Inbox, initial ideal customer profile. And then we started testing a secondary ideal customer profile, which was founders of lead gen agencies. And then you see how specific it is. It's not just an agency. It's a very particular niche subset of agencies, which is a lead gen agencies. And a lead gen agency that services up to 10 clients or more. And if they service more than 10 clients, they're an ideal fit for us. They're an ideal customer. But then we had to go a little bit more specific. And that was, do they do outbound on email only? And if so, then are their customers high value or they have volume? They need to have one of those 2 criteria. And then if they do email and LinkedIn, it didn't matter if they had volume or not. They needed to consolidate because they were missing replies. So that was a secondary ICP. So now all of a sudden I had 3 different hypotheses that we're running. And as we started growing, we started looking at more and more different hypotheses with different framing, issue statements and problem statements and solutions. So what that goes to say is, if you don't have a well-defined niche ideal customer profile, you're lost, because that ties into your messaging. And how you articulate the problem solution fit for the product that you're offering makes a huge difference. For me, I basically had a tagline that said, we're the inbox for lead gen agencies, right? Because we had the ICP lead gen agencies, and what were we? We're an inbox, and we're for lead gen agencies. That's literally what my tagline was. And the founder of RB2B, Adam Robinson, looked at it and said, man, I love your name. I love Master Inbox. However, what is the outcome that you provide to this type of business? Why do lead gen agencies use Master Inbox? And I said, well, it's so they never miss a reply. And he said, that's what it is. You help lead gen agencies never miss a reply. And if you go to look at our website, that's what it is now. We help lead gen agencies never miss a reply. You see how dialed down that is because of the ICP and then the messaging? So number 2, not only do you need a well-defined ICP, but you also need to have one problem for one specific group. So one problem, one outcome for one specific group. When you dial that down and you make a list and you say, here's all the problems that we solve for this ICP, all of them. Here's all the problems that this ICP has. Here's the solutions that we provide, right? And these solutions, let's say there's 5 of them. These 5 solutions help us cover 8 of these problems. Then pivot table it and say which problem solution fit is the most high impact, high value add. And that's the one problem solution fit that you focus on for your business. Because if you don't have that one problem, one solution fit, your messaging is going to be all over the place. Think about all the times you've talked to somebody and you said, hey, what do you do? And literally you go introduce yourself and you say, hey, what do you do? And they ramble on and on and on. You don't want to be those people, right? You don't want to be that person in real life, and you don't want to be that person on a website. Imagine, like, that's what people, they literally internalize that when they come onto your website. If there's no clarity on who you serve, they can't resonate. And same thing happens when you meet in person. And there's one trick for this. And Dan Martell does it best. He basically says the formula for when somebody says, hey, Abdul, what do you do? It's I help X do Y. It could be I help X do Y with Z. But in this case is I help lead gen agencies never miss a reply. That's it. So it could be I help lead gen agencies never miss a reply on email or LinkedIn. That's it. Nothing more. And people are going to say, how? We do that by consolidating all your replies across all your outbound channels into one singular inbox, the master inbox, right? So you want them to ask that question. You want them to have curiosity. You want them to basically want to know about the business. But if you ramble on and there's no clarity in your messaging and you're not looking at one problem, one solution fit for that one ICP, your messaging is not going to resonate. And then the question is, how do you get your message out there? And a lot of people ask this question. I know my ideal customer. I know the problem solution fit, and I have my clear message. Where do I go? Do I make YouTube videos? Do I go to LinkedIn? Am I on Instagram? Where am I going? Do I write blog posts? Do I need to get on podcasts? What do I do? The answer is literally the same as the ones before. Choose one channel. Choose the channel that you believe majority of your ICP hang out on. The majority of them. Look, your ICP are probably, if you're B2B, they're probably everywhere anyway. But LinkedIn has probably been one of the best absolute game changers for Master Inbox with over 1.1 million impressions in 10 months. And I actually didn't have an audience on here at all. So that was fantastic. And there's been a lot of things that have helped propel this journey. And I think this list is probably the most fundamental of those. But actually having me just focus on LinkedIn alone has given me the ability to be consistent, because that's key. It allowed me to be consistent. It allowed me to have one theme in my messaging. It allowed me to understand all the nuances of the platform. And it helped make every single post better than the last, because I had something to evaluate. If I was doing the same amount of effort across 4 different platforms, I would have 4 times less data across any of them. And I probably wouldn't have even cumulatively the same size of audience or impression count or outcomes for our business with over 400 companies using Master Inbox. It wouldn't have happened because it would have been all over the place. Do you see the theme here? If your messaging is all over the place, if your ICP is all over the place, if your focus is all over the place, and your platform choice is all over the place, it's not going to happen. Don't get me wrong. You do eventually need to branch out and eventually grow your audience across platforms. But it only happens when you've reached a certain milestone in your business. You have a certain set of revenue. You have a fit that you figured out, and you are at a certain trajectory. That's when you go and branch off and other platforms. And even then, you choose the other singular one. In this case, I'm choosing YouTube. The biggest, and I think the most critical of all things, like the most critical choice that I made that probably had the most profound impact, was optimizing for personal brand over company brand. If you think about the times that founders obsess over the logo, the branding colors, pretty much everything about their website or how their brand looks, and they over-index on that, but they don't think about the person behind that brand, right? You can have a logo, but who's the real human behind it? If you're a Bootstrap founder, the most powerful weapon that you have is you. Literally, people want to buy from another human being. You are the brand. That's what it is. Believe it or not, you may not like that. You could have the most fanciest logo and then no human being, and it's literally cold. You could have an okay looking logo, which is probably what we do, You can have something that's decent enough, but then have a personable brand. Some person or some team that people can go directly to, reach out to, read content from, look at, see, and have that person be everywhere that they are online. So every time you open up LinkedIn and you're a B2B SaaS founder, or and you have a sales team of more than 3 people, and you are a lead gen agency, I want you to see my content. That's the whole idea. I want to be everywhere that you are on LinkedIn. And the way I speak, the way I talk, it's just me. I don't focus on and overthink about, oh man, people are going to think, oh, this is the founder of Master Inbox talking. No, look, there's professionalism, but I'm also a human being. I like to poke fun and make jokes and just be me. And if I am in your DMs, I actually genuinely think that we should work together and we could probably help your business. But I'm not going to be flat out pitching you. People say, hey, follow up with me next quarter. And I say, sure, please do follow up with me next quarter, right? Because if you don't need the product, it's all right. It's no problem. But you'll see my content. And when it hits and it resonates again, I'll want you to come back and reconsider using Master Inbox. So look, if you are a founder and you're thinking about starting your business in 2026, or you already have started and you're thinking about scaling it, there's no better way than choosing one platform, one audience, one messaging, and building your personal brand than today.